Hi everybody, it's Diana with Stamping with Di. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and this week's Mimeograph Monday with a Twist, and we're going to do a Halloween card, because believe it or not, Halloween is right around the corner, even though all the Christmas decorations are out in the stores. And we haven't even had Halloween or Thanksgiving. But, so we're going to have fun with the Spooky Halloween bundle. And this is really, really cute, and it is an online exclusive, so you want to check that out in my store. And if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I am so glad that you're here. My name is Diana, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm in Santan Valley, Arizona. So welcome to my channel. If you are new, during the video premiere, I'm in the chat room, so head on over there. I'll be there with my friends. If you are watching the replay, and if you have a question or a comment, leave it below, and then YouTube will let me know, and then I can reach out to you. So if you are new, Mimeograph Monday with a Twist basically means I'm going to do usually it's two projects. So the first project is Stampin' Up's version project. Sometimes it's in the main catalog, mini catalog, a flyer. This one is in my online store. So I'll make how I think their card was done, and then I'll do a twist on it, which is more my taste or more my style or whatever. Sometimes that changes a lot. Sometimes it just changes a little bit. But this has been a really popular series, and I love that you are enjoying it. And it is fun to do. Sometimes you are crafting and you get stuck, right? You can't figure out what you want to make. So if you do this yourself, it just kind of gets your gears going in your old noggin. Now you can get the recipes for the cards on my blog. So if you just go to my blog over here, go to catalogs, open that up, and it will show you the recipes for the stuff. All right, so I'm going to stop blabbing. So close your eyes for a second while I get my camera adjusted. Okay, so it's the Spooky Halloween. Aren't these little cat and dog so adorable? And then it has a coordinating die, and then this is the card I'm going to do here. It's really cute and simple, and it took me a minute to figure out what it was, and then I've got my recipe out, and it uses the wood textured 12 by 12 DSP. I guess it's not really DSP. It's just a type of cardstock. All right. Now, what I am doing, I did do a little bit of stamping and die cutting ahead of time because I will be doing two projects. So it just kind of saves a little bit of time. Now, my card base is basic white, thick. And then here you can see that wood textured. So see that wood texture on there? All right. Now I also stamped my cat and my broom on watercolor paper, and I'm going to use the StazOn pad. And so StazOn is a waterproof. It's very similar to like a Sharpie marker. It's the same kind of ink as a permanent Sharpie marker. So what you want to do is you do want to wash it, really quickly after you use it on the photopolymer. And I have just a StazOn cleaner I just have by my sink. And as soon as I'm done, I just, put it on there and wash it in the sink. And it stains a little bit, but it comes off, pretty good. And then I just mark this on my pad too. So this is for watercoloring. This is not for the blends because the StazOn ink and the Stampin' blends do not play well together. So you just want to keep that in mind. So I just write that on there so I kind of remember to tell you. All right, so I'm going to do some watercoloring. I also did the little bats just with black cardstock. So I have my water painter over here, and I have my inks. Now I just have my inks as I need them, little dimensional. I just have them in this little water, oh my gosh, Diana. This is a paint palette, and I got this off of Amazon, and I do have it linked in my store over here. And then I just wrote the color, names on here, and then I know, like, well, this is cherry cobbler, this is real red, and I did them in Roy G. Biv order. So I've just sprinkled, or put a little bit of the refill in there, and then I just use this as like a paint palette. So I am just gonna like color quickly my little kitty cat. So I want my crush. So I just kind of I just go up here and I just read and I go, okay, well, there's Crush Curry. So I just pick it up and then I just kind of bring it over. And this is like a small image, so it doesn't take very long to color at all. All right, so there is that. And then her little dress is Crush Curry too. What's nice about watercoloring, you only have to load that brush every so often. Not long at all. And then her little stockings are so cute with the little stripes. All right. Now, I want to make this be a little different color, especially over here where I have the broom. So if I just like squeeze out some of that, it will lighten it up a little bit. And then I can soften that a tad. If you want it to be darker, go right into that dark. And then we can make it dark like underneath her head. But you want to make sure it's good and dry before you start mixing your colors. All right, so I think her little dress looks cute. Then her skirt is pretty in pink. And that's over here. So you can't see what I'm doing, but it's over here. It's over here. All right, so I'm just going to grab some pretty in pink. Put a little on her stocking there. And her little skirt. She almost reminds me of that she might be dressed for as a little cheerleader. Because it almost gives me the vibe of like she's in a cheerleader, costume. All right. I know in school we were always, this is too much information, but all right. So I'm just putting pretty in pink on her nose as well. And her little ears. Okay, and then I'll just squeeze this out. But I know we would dress up as a bride, but we were always a dead. Whatever we were always dead. So we could be a bride, we were a dead bride, and we always had big boobs. It was the only time we could wear makeup and we had our bras stuffed like crazy. Or we were a dead cheerleader. Or we were like, it was always a dead something. I mean, back in the days. But there you go, too much information. All right, so now I'm going to color my cat. So she's going to be gray granite. So I'm going to get a little gray granite. And let's see how dark that is. That's not too bad. All right, so we've got our gray granite. And on her little feet as well. And her little hands. Her ears. So see what I mean? Like you can color almost the whole kitty cat with just one load of the brush when you watercolor. And I don't watercolor enough, really. I say that every time I watercolor. All right, so we're gonna let her dry just a second. It won't take tons because I didn't load that up tons. All right, so now I'm gonna take, so it's gonna be a little bit darker. And I'm gonna go up underneath her hat. Kind of come down a little bit. Because it would be shadow where it came down from that hat. And that is it for the coloring. So really, really quick, right? But look how adorable she is. All right, so let's bring this over. Now I need to get a grid sheet because I'm going to do some blending brush on my wood grain, my wood textured paper. And I'm just going to use the bubble bath. So it's going to be fairly light. I'm just going to go around in a circle, and what this does is it's going to catch all of the nooks and crannies of that wood textured DSP, or I don't know why I call it DSP, but the wood textured cardstock specialty paper. All right. So it's going to be really, really light pink, so it might not show up tons on the camera. But it just makes that texture pop. And we have some new textured papers coming. I need to order some more of the wood grain because I really like the wood grain. We have some new colors or new textured papers coming, and tomorrow for my Teach Me Tuesdays I will be doing an unboxing of my pre-order, and you'll see some there. All right, so it's really hard to see, but that is on there. Okay, and then we'll bring our card over. So I'm going to do 2 cards in case you are new. All right, so you can kind of see now, like when I put the white next to it, you can tell that there is something going on. You might not be able to tell it's pink, but you can tell it's, you know, darker. All right, and then let me put this on. Okay. And then I cut this 3 3/4 by 5, so it's a little bit of a bigger frame around it than normal. Because usually I would make it come out the edge a little more, but I'm doing the one from the catalog or the online store, and that's how it was. They also did Spooky, and I'm just going to do the Spooky with the Memento pad because it's just stamped on there. Let's see if I can do the punch, or if I want to do it. Now this is a new punch that I got in my pre-order, so you can't get this one yet, but you could add it to your starter kit, you know, if you want it now. All right, because I'm just going to use it because it's the perfect little shape for my Spooky. And it makes these other 2 shapes, right, which are adorable. Okay, and I'll show you that tomorrow during my unboxing, the rest of the stuff that goes with that. All right, so we have our kitty. So we're going to put our Spooky on with some dimensionals. Hang on a second. Kitty cat's so cute. All right, so we have our Spooky. Looks fairly straight. Let's put our cat on. And she's just kind of, you know, standing like that. We have our little broom. And I'm going to use a little tiny baby one, and we have black dimensionals too, so I'm just going to use a black one. I'm also going to put a tiny little green tip glue on her hand. I got to clean that off. This is just the green tip glue. I just put it in a little press. I'm just going to put a tiny little bit on her hand because she's holding the broom. So the broom, just like that. So she's probably a witch because she's got the witch's hat, but I still say she looks like she's dressed like a cheerleader. All right, so we have our spooky, and then we have our little bats. And I'm going to use the black dimensionals again. Here's my scissors. So I'm just going to cut up and make them smaller. And then just put it on the wings. Okay, so this one is flying back here. And then this one is flying in the front. So I'm going to put those dimensionals kind of in the center of the wings again, so it can overlap that greeting. And this one is kind of like that. I think the bats are adorable. All right, now there's some bling on here, and the bling is the rainbow adhesive backed dots. And did I tell you that that was peach pie cardstock? I can't remember if I did. All right, so we're gonna use these bubble bathy ones. These ones to me look like freesia, so I'm gonna use these bubble bath ones. So I've got a big one, little one, big, little, and then little again. But there's the first card. Isn't that so cute? So you can definitely tell now that this is like a pinkish hue under there, but in real life, it's, you know, you can see it a lot better. So, all right, so let me do my twist now. For my twist, I want to use some, you know me and designer series paper. I'm going to use the Spooky Sweet DSP, and this is a specialty pack. It's got some scenes, it has some punch out little pieces, and I'm going to use the dog this time and the little pumpkin. So I already stamped him with Memento, and I die cut him out because I am going to color with the blends. I know I said I like to watercolor, but at the same time, I like to use the blends as well. All right, let's stick that over there so I get my arm in it. All right, so we are going to use a few different colors here. Let's do our pumpkin and get him out of the way. All right, so I'm just going to use pumpkin pie. Perfect color for the pumpkin. So this is just light. And then dark. So I'm just going to put a little dark on the top, and then a little bit on the bottom. And then that way the center kind of glows a little bit. Let's bring our cute little dog over. Now, I'm going to color part of him in his dog color. So he's a little brown dog. So we have, let's see, number 600. So his ears are going to be his dog color. So 600. And a little bit on his legs sticking outside of his shorts as well. And then a 400 just to kind of add a little shadow. Okay, and then we'll just soften it with that 600. Okay. And then his pants. So his pants, he just wore regular shorts under his pants. His mom looked for pants that would go with his Frankenstein, but she couldn't find the right size, so he just wore his regular shorts. So this is dark azure and a light azure. But his mom was able to do pretty good with the rest of his costume. So his top is dark gray granite and a light gray granite. And even the little bolt in his neck there. So this is dark gray. And then we'll finish it with the light. And I'll even do his little socks. Okay, oops. And she really worked hard on the rest of his costume, and she figured out how to make his fur be that green Frankenstein. So we have granny apple green, so we have dark granny apple. Even his little hands she made be green. And up around his head there with his little Frankenstein hat. Okay, and then we'll do dark lemon lime twist to finish that. And he actually won his best costume at school, so he got the lollipop. He got to choose what color lollipop he got. And he likes purple, so it was a purple one. All right. So I'm just softening a little bit of that where those two colors meet. All right, so he picked up a purple lollipop, so I have dark Highland. And then dark Frisia. And is he not the cutest little Frankenstein you ever did see? Isn't he so cute? All right, so let's bring the card over. Now I've had some fun with my card pieces with that DSP because, like I said, it has some scenes. It has some things you can pop out. So I picked this scene, and I did one, I'll show you the other one, and it has a bit different on it, because you can get a few different versions or whatever. All right, so this is going to be on the front, and I'm just going to put it on with green tip glue. I also picked out a scary tree, and that's going to go on the inside of the card because I wanted to be able to have a lot of fun on the front, so I put the tree on the inside. Okay, we'll let that sit a second. All right, so we have our tree and then our cute little crow with the pumpkins, and I'm going to put that on with green tip glue too, because it's just on the inside of the card, so that does not have to have dimensionals. You want it to sit nice and flush on the inside of the card. And then our pumpkin and our crow. And then I want to stamp on the inside. So we have no tricks, all treats. Because that's what you hope when the trick-or-treaters come to your door, right? You hope that there's not going to be any tricks. So no tricks, all treats. And then there's also these really cute little bats. So I'm going to stamp some little bats around. Okay. That's the inside. And then I'm using the same little banner. And I just picked peach pie since I had that peach pie out. And I'm still just going to put spooky on that because it fits really, really well on there. Okay. All right, now I can close my pad. Okay. Let's put this on the inside. And then I also picked the cauldron because I thought that was fun. Because I was like, okay, this neighborhood goes all out for the kids. So they have the trees and the bats and the pumpkins with the crow. They have their houses, even the cat. Now the cat's on the inside because the cat does not like Halloween. And she looks out and she sees a little dog and she's like, this is why I don't like Halloween. Because look, there's a dog out there. But look at the ghost. And the pumpkin, now that pumpkin's getting covered up with the dog. All right, so let's bring our cauldron over. And before I glue it on there, I'm going to take my dark lemon lime twist. And I'm going to add a little bit of lemon lime to my slime or whatever. I think it's just Kool-Aid. But it looks like slime. But it's really just Kool-Aid for the neighbor kids. So I'm just adding this to make it a little bit more green. Just makes it look a little bit more green. You could even add some of the granny in there to have little bits of dark. Doesn't that make it look even better? All right, so we're gonna glue it onto here. Here's my black dimensionals. And then it just sits on there like so nice. Okay. And I'm going to put it over here like that. Before you know it, it'll be Halloween. You have to get that candy at the store. All right, so we're going to put our little cauldron here. I want to put my little Frankie over here. Now I can cover the cat so you don't see the cat and then you'll see the pumpkin. But there's something about that little cat looking out that I just want to have it. I want to see the cat. So we have our little Frankie dog. But I want him to come over just a little bit so we can still see the cap. But I need to leave a little bit of room for the pumpkin to go on his hand. So he's holding on to that pumpkin to get all his candy. All right, so now we have our spooky. And then you can decide where you want to put your spooky. You know, it really depends on what's in your scene. Like, because this one I might put the spooky over here because I don't want to cover up that ghost that's looking. I really like that little ghost. So I think I'm going to put the spooky here, kind of in the center-ish. Because I'm going to put 3 little bats on as well. Because like I said, this neighborhood really likes trick-or-treating. All right, let me get my snips. So I need to cut my little dimensionals again. For my bats. Okay. Because it was kind of neat to have bats on the outside, bats on the inside. All right, so we're just going to fly about there. And we'll fly about over here, kind of going towards that crow. And then I'm going to put a bat down here by the cauldron, but you still can see that little bitty cat. Now, I'm also going to take some daffodil. And I'm going to put a little bit of daffodil on my cat eyes. So the eyes of the cat are like yellow. Isn't that cute? All right, so this is my twist. So I'll show you the other one because it depends on how you cut your paper. So see, I've got different scenes going on. So that's why I moved the spooky around because I didn't want to cover that little ghost up. And then the inside, I kind of did the same. I did it a little bit differently only because the crow is looking a different direction. So I wanted him to be looking at the tree. So then I glued the tree on the opposite side. Excuse me. And so that's why, you know, I did that. There's a method to my madness. But so you can kind of see like this finishes, right? Like this is the scene. I just cut it. So it just kind of continues on. But I love how this turned out. All right, so here was my twist. And then here was the card that you can see online in my store. So this is Stampin' Up's version. And then this is my twist. So, I mean, I know my favorite, but they're both super cute little cards, I think. And so hopefully you will, these bats are adorable. Not that I like bats in real life. No, thank you. Where were we one night? We were driving. Oh, we were coming back. There's a really good barbecue place in Florence. Hold on a second. Let me say, see you later, alligator. So you're not listening to my hands talk. There's a really good barbecue place in Florence. And we went later than normal last week or whatever. So it was starting to get kind of dusk as we were driving back. And I'm just like, just get home. Just get home. Because I don't like being out, you know, when it's kind of getting dark. And then, so then this thing flew like in front of the truck, and Jeff goes, "Ooh, that was a bat." And I'm like, "A bat?" And he goes, yeah, that was a bat." And I go, "How you know it was a bat?" He's like, "Cause birds don't fly at night." And I'm like, "Oh, maybe they don't." Like, I don't know. And it probably was a bat. But anyways, because sometimes we'll get bats, like we have a light. And sometimes if the neighbors have a dance, we'll leave the light on out there so that the people can see, because they park in our driveway. And then sometimes you'll see like the bats are eating the bugs. All right, well, I just totally went, you know, right off topic. But anyway, so hopefully you like these cards. It's super cute. I usually don't send Halloween cards necessarily, but I might have to because these are adorable. I have my little Halloween treats already to put candy in. because I have that Halloween kit. And don't forget the kit sale that's coming up on the 6th, today. Oh my gosh. So yeah, the kit sale. So don't forget to look at those kits and grab, they're 10 to 30% off. So make sure you grab them because it'll be while supplies last. So if they're like short on some kits, they won't last, you know, the 2 days. So just make sure you do that, you know, quickly. All right, I think that's all my blabbing. I will see you tomorrow for my Teach Me Tuesdays, and that will be at 3 o'clock Arizona time, same channel. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, bye for now.